What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We have our live match preview today against Sheffield United at home. Hopefully you're all having a good evening or good morning or good afternoon wherever you are in the world tuning in. So yeah, obviously we didn't do anything last night. Obviously we took a break and we thought I'd leave it on to the day before. I wanted to wait for the what Julian wanted to say first about pretty much what was to come for Saturday. Yeah, just it's gonna be a devastating one tomorrow, man. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. If you have high hopes on this game, I would not personally. After seeing what happened on Tuesday night and realizing that we just messed up with injuries, it really is bad. And this is the time where he needs to prove himself about bringing youngsters in and doing what he was meant to do at the start when he was brought in. So yeah, who we got in the chat? We got Foley. Good to see you, Foley. Been a while. Hey, do you, mate? There is not a lot left to choose, such as is our injury list. Yeah, I know. Nick says hi, DB. Hopefully all okay, Nick and Foley and Eleanor and Nick. Patrick. Jesus Christ, Patrick's in today. Jeez, wow, damn, okay. It's very unusual we see Patrick in a match preview. Damn. Well, it's good to see all you lot in the chat. Hopefully you're having a great evening. First says, hope you're okay. I'm all good, man. Hi, my favorite streamer, DB. Eleanor says, thank you much. I know, much love, much appreciation for that one. Edwards in midfield. Patrick says, what's your score prediction? Minus 4-0 Sheffield. Damn, okay. Jeez. First says, not feeling confident tomorrow. Yeah, work has been mad. Had to cover shifts. Mate, it's what happens, mate. It's what happens with work, man. Honestly, I'm running a little late today after a puncture on the van. So, yeah. But let's stick positive. Oh, it's hard to stick positive after a result like that on Tuesday night. Honestly, it's deja vu all over again. It's deja vu all over again. Against Coventry, Ipswich, if you want to say that again. You know, we seem to have these good run of forms after these disappointing results that we get, a shambles results as I'll call them. But yeah, switch to the next scene. So yeah, as you can see, tomorrow's game, game week 35, almost coming up to the end of the season. It doesn't feel like it is, but it really is. At the match stadium, we got Tom Field, I think it is, as referee tomorrow. Let's just double check if it is. Yeah, it's Tom Neild. Sorry, Tom Neild. I don't know much about him. I'm gonna have to do some more research. I didn't really have much time to have a look at what was going on with the referees. Nick says I can only be positive when I see the likes of Poku and that other striker. I could tell you a lot about that striker, but I'll be honest, it's not, we ain't gonna see him. I don't think we're gonna see him. We usually respond. Yeah, listen, look, let's start off this with the positivity, okay? Let's start off with the fact being, every time we get a huge loss, we seem to come back fighting. We do. So if we go to our fixtures of what, I just want to make sure I'm right and not wrong, otherwise someone's gonna correct me. So our last big bad result was obviously against I think it was Ipswich, weren't it? 4-1 at home. Okay, tell a lie, we lost to Southampton 2-1 on that day. After that, and then yeah, we had a good bit of run. Coventry wise, where we lost, I believe it was 7-1. We had a good run of form there. But this is a different Sheffield United team. Obviously, we beat Sheffield United, I believe, didn't we? At their ground, I think it was. No, it was a 0-0 draw. I think Chris Wilder came back for that one, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, let me have a look at this overview of the game. So yeah, 0-0 result. Last game against, it was at home, no, away to Sheffield United, and Chris Wilder has kind of got his team back on form. You know, Chris Wilder's got Sheffield United. Obviously, he came back to the club after sacking Sellers, and he had a difficult job. I did say to everyone, when he has that January transfer window, they'll be flying. They weren't flying as much as I thought they would be, but he's got his team out of relegation, which, you know, is a positive thing for Sheffield United fans. Obviously, I don't know if anyone remembers the last Sheffield United game we had a lot of funny people come into the chat. We had a lot of funny people, and I wouldn't be surprised if it happens again tomorrow. So yeah, hopefully we got you guys ready for tomorrow's big game, and hopefully you can give it back to them if they give it back to us. But all friendly banter, so yeah. Now, obviously, going into this game, we're sitting 14th, 34 games played, 13 wins, 8 draws, 13 losses. -6 goals. We're back down to the goal difference. Yeah, again, not great. It always happens. Sheffield United, obviously, 34 games in, 14 wins, 3 draws, and 17 losses. Their losses are pretty high, so that is a positive on our side, but majority of them was coming from sellers anyway. The form-wise, they're in the same type of form as us, to be honest. In the last 5 games, they've won 3 and lost 2. For us, obviously, we've lost 2, drawn 1, and won 2. So similar patterns at the moment with us and Sheffield United, and fingers crossed he can deliver tomorrow. But I'll be honest, you got to remember, it's a different team compared to what we did at their ground. As you can tell by the title, our midfield's fucked. It's that simple. Yes, we have Varane back. Yes, we can play Ronnie there. But the problem is, Madsen is our key man. He is our basically our key to our midfield. He's our, as Ali Fallin said, he's our maestro, and it's the truth. You know, he's been phenomenal this season, and the problem is, he's injured. He's done. For what I've been told, he won't be available tomorrow. He won't be available tomorrow. He's definitely injured. So yeah. Varane obviously is going to be having to be used. Hopefully Steve Cook's there. Hopefully Paul Smith's there. We haven't heard much about them. You know, I don't know where they've gone. For example, there's no news about injuries to them. Chair will not be back tomorrow. Chair is obviously been told he won't be fit enough tomorrow. And, you know, we're missing Burrell. We're missing this new striker. Jake Clark-Salter is obviously, hopefully going to be in the bench. You know, Ronnie, Jimmy should be fit. But I honestly think it's going to be a tough game tomorrow. You know, we haven't got any key players in midfield. We've literally got 2 defending midfielders in the game tomorrow. We do. 2 defending midfielders. You know, is he going to play a youngster? Personally, for me, listen, look, I like Kone. I love Kone. I think Kone is a terrific striker, and I know a lot of people hate him at the moment, but he is out of form. And what the questions on people's lips are needed is he going to play tomorrow? Because personally, I would not play him tomorrow. I would give him a rest. You know, he's played all season and he needs a rest. And we need him back. But I feel like the only way we get him back is if we rest him. We need to see other opportunities elsewhere up front to see if that works. Whether that's Collie, whether that is putting a youngster up front. I don't know, maybe if we could play Isaac, give him an opportunity in midfield. You know, we ain't calling Sandfield back. You know, and likely chances are Sandfield is probably going to be adios in the summer to Norwich. So, yeah. Really bad transfer window in January. And we're literally paying the cost of it right now, we are. With all these injuries. Now, with Sheffield, obviously, past games, they lost to Coventry 2-1 their last game. Very dominant performance from Sheffield United, very much. Coventry were pretty much playing counter-attacking football that game, if I remember. So Sheffield United were a very dominant force, basically at home, but still lost. They beat Sheffield Wednesday, very dominant there as well. They beat Portsmouth. Not so dominant. It was an away game, but we do know what Portsmouth can do. You know, Portsmouth, a very good team. They lost to Middlesbrough 2-1. 2-1 at home. Middlesbrough, obviously, a very dominant force there. And they beat Oxford 3-1, and they completely shamed them. They did. 3-1, 70% possession. You know, so we all know what Chris Wilder does in his games. Chris Wilder is a possession manager. He likes top-notch championship players. He has his attacking force back on point. You know, his defense can be a bit shady. It can do. You know, there is players to watch out for. Players to watch out, for example, Patrick Bamford is back in the championship. Hamer, O'Hare, Brooks seems to be a very good talent for Sheffield United. Peck's a very good midfielder. Tanganga, I thought left Sheffield United. I think he has. Sariki has 4 assists to his name. Burrows has 3 assists to his name with 3 goals. 1 goal with Sariki as well. You know, but Ben Hamer this season... Is it Ben Hamer? No, Gustavo Hamer, my apologies. I'm thinking of our keeper. Is more of a creator than a goal scorer. Obviously, he has been injured this season. I actually thought he left Sheffield United this season, if I'm not mistaken. Let me have a look at the lineups of the last game. No, he was playing. Tanganga was playing. I thought some of these players left. I must be losing it. But yeah, Bamford is playing really well at the moment, and he's going to be a danger man. You know, he did well for Middlesbrough against us. He did. So yeah, it's going to be a hard game. You know, Julian has said in his press conference, whatever you want to call it, he said that it'll be a different game tomorrow. He said the same thing when we played Coventry, when we lost there. He said it'd be a different game tomorrow. But the problem is, you know, he's too, like I said, he's too protective of his players. He said that his players, it wasn't the players' fault on Tuesday, it was his fault. But far as I'm aware, the players weren't doing the job. So yeah, as long as we can get this done, you know, he needs to correct things for sure. There was a parts of where maybe he needs to instruct his players a bit more. But personally, you know, that defense was a shambles on Tuesday night. It was such a shambles, and we can't see that at home because we've witnessed that with Ipswich, we've witnessed that with Burnley at the end of last season. You know, we got a lot to do, a lot of work to do to even think about top 10 now. With the points wise is still there, but the main thing is getting these players back to fitness. Like I said on Wednesday, when we did our match reaction, you know, listen, look, I'm a guy that did say something about, obviously, I'm not happy with how Ben is doing at the club with the fitness regimes and all that, but I didn't go in at him and say it was very, like, you know, targeting him, you know. I know a lot of people targeting him on Twitter, giving him personal messages and shit like that. Listen, look, at the end of the day, you know, we can only do what we can do. Yeah, I agree with majority of you guys. It's not great. I'm not happy with it, but it's something we got to fix, you know, and whether that is looking at other options elsewhere or seeing what we actually need to do with either dietary work programs or anything like that. You know, personally for me, Jake Clark-Sawyer should not be training high intense training. He should be in the gym twice a week, and he should be training once a week, you know, and he should only be playing here and there. He can't be playing every game. You know, he technically is our Ledley King right now. He's our Ledley King, and if we need him fit, we need him to be planned out properly and adequately, like Harry Redknapp did with Ledley King, you know? Same thing with what Sir Alex Ferguson did with some of his players, you know? When they were injury prone, he didn't train them intensely. He would make sure that they could play certain adequate games and have a certain regime going for them. So that's one thing that needs to be worked on in training wise and in the background, where regimes need to be adequately done to certain players. I know Ben's not going to be hearing this or whatever, but listen, look, it's not all his fault. At the end of the day, high intensity is in the championship and it has to be regimed properly. You know, people can say it's done with food. Some people can say this. Technically, food can be a problem, but at the end of the day, if that is a problem, you need to sort it out. And that is simple, you know. Look at Eden Hazard. You know, the guy loves his hamburgers, you know. Clearly, Chair likes fast food, I reckon, because he has put a bit of weight on. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But realistically, we're not going to have the same team out where we had against Southampton. There's going to be different changes for sure. A lot of work, so a lot of work. But for what we need to do and watch out for, O'Hare, we clearly need to watch out for his ability on the ball. We need to watch out for Hamer, his incredible shooting. Patrick Bamford in his height. So personally, for me right now, Jimmy Dunn needs to be in the middle just in case. I want Steve Cook. I want Ronnie on that right back side. And Benge, do you know what? I know people are going to hate me saying this, but I really would prefer if Mbenge was on the left at the moment, because Davis, I really don't trust him. I know he's not adequate, he's not available for tomorrow's game because it's Sheffield United, but is he going to play Escudina? I certainly hope not. You know, I have full belief in Escudina in the future, but right now against Sheffield United, honestly, Mbenge would be best suited at left back. 100%. You know, he needs to watch out for certain players for sure, and that is what we need to do. Is he gonna rest Joe Walsh? I'm not too sure. You know, this fixture away, we obviously saw Hamer in goal and he did a phenomenal job, you know, but our attack is going to be more weaker than we was before. You know, no Dembele, no certain other players, you know. Burrell, obviously no. The only players we have at the moment is Kone, Sato, Harvey Vale, Paul Smith if he is fit, and going from there. So yeah, let's go and have a look at it anyway. The full chat has been blowing up right now, so we'll have a look at the chat quickly and read some of these comments. Obviously, we ended up with Eleanor saying prediction mine is 4-0. I'll get into my prediction in a second. Yeah, work has been mad. Nick says that I can only be positive when Poku won't be back for another couple of weeks. At least, I think, same time as Chair. We usually respond, Patrick says, obviously when we was talking about the big games when we lose them. At least positive, Varane is back in the squad. Yep. 2-0 to QPR. Patrick saying nice. Okay. Very positive there. Nick says, what is the situation with that striker? Sorry not to know stuff about him. So Nick, basically there's rumours going on that he is basically in the same scenario as Pogba and Mudryk. So I'll just say that. But that is what the word is that I've heard. But I could be wrong. It might just be false news. So yeah. Foley says anything other than a loss will be positive. I think we're gonna draw 2-2. Yeah, we dealt with Bumperclart. Yeah, I remember that. Kuran says hello lads. Hello Ryan. Hopefully you're okay. Sorry not to obviously read your message straight away. I was obviously just talking my bollocks about QPR. Prepared to get battered. Yo Foley, how are you? Obviously there you go. Bit good to see the love in the chat. Bit knackered from work, but all good, bro. Glad you're well, mate. Is it just me, or does JS speeches get in the same after every game? You got the, you know, I feel like it's a lot like Marty Fuentes last season with the talking until the end of where Marty stayed quiet. You know, I think there is a controlled group in there now where, you know, there was only 1 or 2 managers that were more willing to say something, such as Paulo Sousa, which obviously got him sacked. But yeah, from there, Bamford scoring well this season. Yeah, Foley, he really is. Nick says, I think we should play 3 at the back with Don Edwards and Jake Cloxall, and play 5 in the middle with Mbenge on the right and Sato on the left, and then rest the same. Okay, that is a big shout, Nick. There's a big shout. Foley says he always says that. Foley says that Ben did say throw players are coming more distance. Did say though players are coming more distance in the championship ETC, so it takes. But the thing is, right? And I get that. I 100% agree with Ben Williams on that, where a lot of players are covering more distance in the championship. I get that. But why the hell are we not resting players then? Why are we playing the full 11 the same time? Listen, I get if, you know, certain fans get agitated when, say, Burrell was not playing, he was on the bench, Kone was on the field, all of this. Rotation is key in this league, and that's what I've been saying since the start of the season. But they won't do it. And if that is the case, is what Ben Williams is saying, why doesn't he say something to Christian Nuri and Julian Stefan? You know, I don't get it. It's mad. You know, I know the championship is high intensity, but he needs to sort it out. He really needs to sort it out, man. He really does. Like, I don't get it, you know? It's like, for me, right, as a football fan and as a person that has a mind of tactics and stuff like that, do I have to fucking keep going on and say, I'm here, let me help you, kind of thing, you know? I'm not saying I'm great, but why is it a fan that's telling you how to do a fucking regime, you know? If you know, and the fans know that Championship's in a high intensity game, but you're still throwing the same 11 in there constantly. Listen, I can't say any excuses with Burrell's injury because we all saw the stamp on the leg for that. I can't say any excuses for Varane's injury because injuries happen, such as Dembele as well. But the fact is this, when you go to Dembele, and last season when his knee went on him, every fan should know that Dembele's knee is done with now. It will only take a little hit for him to be injured. Now with Poku, we're saying he's back, but for how long? You know, his hamstring's gone twice this season. Ilya Sher's hamstring's gone twice this season. You know, what's going on with the hamstrings? That's what I want to know. If people are pulling up the hamstrings, rest the hell out of them. They need a break. You know, I get they want to play, but if we're going, for example, Sheffield Wednesday one week, and then you got Coventry the following week, you'd play your weaker team against Sheffield Wednesday and your strongest team against Coventry. Especially in a 3-game week, you know? And if it comes to the case, play some youngsters. But the problem is, you got to play the right youngsters. You know, Tylon Smith is the only youngster that I've seen that has impressed me this season. You know, Collie hasn't really had any game time, so I can't really fault that. And going from there, it's kind of a nuisance thing about it. You know, a lot of work needs to be done. It's that simple. You know, I'm just hoping, let's get top 10 this season, and we need to work on what we're doing because Kieran Morgan's been absolutely shite this season. I'm going to be honest. And I love Kieran Morgan. I think he's a cracking youngster. I think he's one of the best youngsters we've signed, you know. But for some reason, his passing ability has been useless this season. But his shot distribution has been amazing, you know. And yeah, it just goes from there. You know, I've not really seen any youngster apart from Tylon Smith smash it this season. You know, I actually did like Wilkie. Where's he gone? You know, I know he's in the development squad, but, you know, maybe give him a shout, you know. Maybe he could play left back. But, like I said, if Esquidina can't do it, then we need to look at somewhere else. Because he made the biggest mistake against Southampton. And, you know, he's been doing that all season. And I know he's got quality. I know we can see it in him. But his just ability is he's struggling to understand the Championship, and that is it. You know, a lot of fans can get on his back, but for what I can see is, like you said, high intensity in the Championship. He's not used to it. So yeah, he's used to comfortable football in Brazil. You know, in Brazil, it's all skillful. It's all entertaining football, as I would say. You know, it's like Italian football, for example. So yeah, but that's my rant for the night about QPR. Let's finish off with these comments. Cheers DB letting me know about the striker. Great to see that we have another player with Dembele with bad attitude. Yeah, to be fair point. Nick says we can all say the season is more or less over unless we put a last ditch run in the last 8 or 9 games. So a lot of questions will answer need to be discussed before next season starts. I still say we finished 10th. I think we finished 12th. Foley and Ryan says, personally, I'm still sticking with 10th. I'll be honest. Listen, look, the gap is not far from the tree. You know, we can still make 10th. I honestly think we have an ability to get 10th. And if these players do come back between the middle of March and end of March, we have roughly 6-7 games to bloody get points on the board to help us. I don't know. I don't know what it is, Ryan, but listen, look, he's definitely not injured. I tell you that. You know, there's a reason why certain players are not mentioned, and seen in training. You know, Paul Smith, Steve Cook, for example. Where are them two? No one said anything about an injury to them. So yeah, yeah, it's quite irritating. It's fucking irritating. It is, as a QPR fan, especially for you guys as well. Yeah, I'm just hoping this is what my prediction is tomorrow. I will stand out for a draw. I'm happy to have a draw tomorrow just because I'm being fair to Julian and the players. A win would be superb. I understand the injuries problems right now are a pain in the ass for head coaches, managers, whatever it is. Let's see if he makes the right decision with formation, with tactically and player-wise who he puts on against Sheffield United. But Sheffield United will take advantage of this and take the piss out of us for sure. And we need to watch out for certain players. Whether that is playing the same game type against Hull at their ground, what we did to Hull. You know, because we have the ability to prove that we can win games with injuries. Look at, like I said, Hull City is a great example. But we'll see what happens. You know, I'm going to say a 1-1 draw. And I personally think if who's going to score, it's going to be a set piece, I reckon. I reckon it's going to be a set piece. But we've got to wait till tomorrow. I don't know who the team is going to be. I'm not throwing any names in there yet. Because I know Chair's not going to be in there. I know there's certain players that are not going to be in there. You know, hopefully we get to see a different team. Hopefully we get to see a bit more experience. But we'll see what happens. I'm going to say a 1-1 draw for QPR. And that is pretty much acceptable in my opinion. I don't know for you guys as fans. But for me, you know, the crowd might boo it. But for me, I understand realism. And the realistic thing is we are fucked at the moment. And that is simple. And that's pretty much like that. But the positive, I do hope it is the way Julian is at the moment. I do hope we see that still in the sense of the positivity. I get he has a lot of love for his players and he ain't going to put it all on them. I love it. I think it's great. But a bit of honesty will be a lot better as well at the same time. You know, whether that's a player doing bad or whatever, it would be great to hear him say it, you know? So yeah, so I agree with Charlie Austin on that one for sure, with what he was saying on Tuesday night. But yeah, I'm going with 1-1. Put your comments below after the video if you can of your prediction of score, anything like that, or anything you want to shout out really. So yeah, but we'll be live tomorrow at 2:45 p.m. Back to normal 3 p.m. games after last week's horror. But yeah, as you can see, Foley will be joining us tomorrow. We have some good things coming soon. I'm actually trying to sort out a Discord for everyone to join, and possibly when we do our stream with the watch along, possibly I might see if anyone wants to tune into the Discord and just you guys can ramble if you want to about the game, you know. So we'll see what I can do with that, just to see some new things for you to basically get to know each other, really, you know, see what you lot think. And we might even, do you know what, I know some people don't do this, but I might even get once a week maybe, one of you in the stream, and have a little ramble about QPR, see what your thoughts are, and go from there. So some good things, ideas coming through from me. We'll see if we can get it done. Like I said, it's pretty sometimes hard to organize because of times and stuff like that. But fingers crossed tomorrow is a great game for us. I hope it's an entertaining one. But yeah, if you enjoyed the stream, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to, as always, and enjoy the rest of your night. Shout out to you guys, Foley, Nick, QPR, Ryan, Eleanor, Patrick. Thank you definitely for Patrick for tuning in. Shout out to him, he's coming from Canada, remember, so time zones obviously is a bit early there. Well, not so early, but yeah, shout outs to him. Eleanor as well, Nick, Foley, and whoever else is there tuning in. Obviously I can't see who the viewer count is because I turned it off, but shout out to you guys again. You smashed it each week you do. Like I said, we've hit 500 subs, Let's try and build on to 1,000 and go from there. Hope you have a great evening, and we'll catch you tomorrow for the watch along. Cheers, boys and girls. Have a lovely evening.